All right, everybody, I am here. Happy hot Wednesday. Actually, it's not as hot as it has been. We did get cooled down a little bit here in my area of Michigan. We got some rain. We got some cooler weather. We are down to 84. So that's good. And I don't have the little rain on here, so I don't think it's going to rain now. But it's going to heat back up again. So I'm on a couple minutes early. I didn't want to just hang out and then be late because, you know, that's kind of what I always end up doing. I'm Jill Blanchette. I'm here for the video on the 25th of the month of my Christmas card. So those of that might be new, on the 25th of the month, every month, I do a Christmas card idea, just to maybe give you a little boost for something to get your own cards started for the holidays. Oh, Patty's on, Chrissy's on. Hey guys. Tabby's on. Hey everybody. Vesta, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. So I'm just going to, I was going to show you guys real quick. I have an order coming that has, I'm going to do, might show you my cards for my July class. And I got one more to make, but I got the supplies coming. I didn't have the notes and totes, and I found a real cute beachy card for my fourth card. But I'm going to show you. Here's the cards for July. We're going to do, they're all occasion. July is going to be an all occasion card. And then this guy, I have used bananas, only because I don't think many people will want to use the bananas, but I'm going to use the paper, celebration paper. So I'm thinking most people will want like the fruit salad look. So that was number 2. And then we've got number 3 like this. So got a little fun fold in there. We got some cutting. We got all kinds of fun stuff. And then, like I said, my last one's going to be a little bit kind of beachy, just because it's summer and everybody can use a little beachy summer card. Let me see what else I got to tell you. June class is over. Thank you, everybody who came. July is coming. I will get the email out for that as soon as I get the fourth card made. I'm hoping it's coming tomorrow, my stuff, but if not, I might have to improvise and just create something. So, oh, our winner from last week is Linda Spicer. I'm not sure, Linda, is it like Spicer, like the spices on my cabinet, or more of a Z sound like a zebra, like Spicer? So hope I said it right. Linda won. I will get that out in the mail tomorrow. And what do we got going on? Sweet sale. Sweet sale still going on for Stampin' Up. Hopefully, if you wanted any pieces, parts, or full sweets, you were able to get what you wanted. Sale ends Monday, and that's when my baby girl leaves. And her brother's going with her to help her get settled. I keep telling you guys all that. So Monday's rapidly approaching. We're gonna move her all out in a couple days, move her back home for a couple days, her and the cat. We'll move them back home this over the weekend. So I am going to say that, yes, I've rambled a couple minutes. Spicer, yep. Oh, cool. I was right. Yay. So I am going to turn my camera down. You guys know that I usually don't take real long on my Christmas card night. And tonight should probably maybe be about the same. I'm trying to look at what I got going on. Debbie Green's on, Mom's on. And here's what I got for tonight. I'm going to use the Big Fat Bear and a tree from the decorative trees set. So let me show you we got decorative trees, and I'm sure that these are all discontinued. So I think if you win the kit, you'll have any kind of pine tree to use, and I will send along this guy just in case. So those are the two sets that we're going to use. Christmas Friends does have some dies. Decorative Trees, of course, has dies. This has some cool dies that cut out a decorative tree that would go inside the big outline. And then I'm going to use the Impressions Abloom dies to make the pieces on the side. So let's get started here. Let me see if I can bring him in a little bit. I'm kind of zoomed in, probably a little too close. Hi, Kathy. Thanks. Patty's got him. Yay. Let's see. So I started with a garden green base, and you can have it open up like this way if you want, but I cut it at 11 by 4 1/4 and then scored at 5 1/2 just so that mine opened this way. But you can use a normal half sheet of paper and fold it down. But sometimes, I just like to shake them up, be a little bit different with it. So inside I did just a plain white and then the little Charlie Brown tree that's on the stamp set. So let me do that first. Get a couple pieces out of the way. So the Charlie Brown tree comes from Christmas Friends. And what we're going to do here, so I'm going to put it down. I've got my pecan pie marker, Stampin' Write marker, not the alcohol markers. And I'm just going to use it right directly to the stamp. These markers are great for direct coloring on your stamps. And then I have a garden green, which unfortunately this cap does not like really stay on. So it's kind of all dried out already. I probably could contact Stampin' Up. I haven't had them that long because I was a little late to the show of ordering when they redid the design. They redid the ends, or I'll say this end. They redid it to be this fatter kind of end, and they're sort of like dried up on me when I went to use it. But if I got them within a reasonable amount of time, which I don't remember, I could replace them with, maybe they would give me a new one. I don't know. But now you have to buy the whole set. So probably somewhere in my drawers have the old one because I don't get rid of too much. So probably have my old version of them. So I've markered that up. Then you want to huff on it. So that's just like you're going to unfog a mirror, or maybe you blow on huff on your glasses to clean them. That's exactly what you want to do to your stamp if you use the marker, because it moistens it back up, whatever you've put on it. So I'm going to hold that just for a hot second because my colors, like I said, were a little vague, a little faint from that marker. And then I took my Copic. So I do use these a lot. Some of the basic ones. This is a W1 for my undershadowing. Some of the warm, low warm ones, or I use like C1, C2 kind of thing. Quite a bit. And that just grounds that little tree. And we're going to glue them on. Hopefully. All right. Is it cracked? No, Patty, it's not cracked. This end of it, it's barely on there is all. It pulls off real easy, so I think it dried out. Because this end I could barely get off, but it's just weird. So we'll deal with it. So now we're gonna go to the front side. And I thought, but I'm not gonna now. My resident creative director said he wanted to see some snowflakes in the background here. He does not like plain white. He wants activity going on, but I was going to try it, but I'm not going to now. We're not going to try it. We're just going to go with it. So I got now 4¼ or no, I always say 4¼ I got 5¼ by 4" basic white color that we're going to build on. So I'm going to put that out of the way. I have Granny Apple Green that I'm going to use this frame circle from the Impressions Abloom. I think I'm getting too close. It doesn't want to focus on it. So we're going to cut this out of the Granny Apple Green. And I'm hoping my little guy here is going to work and be big enough to run everything through tonight. So let's get that on there. That might just fit. And then you knock it and have to do it over again. Okay. And then we're going to put the top plate on top and run it through. Oops, I got it a little kitty wampus. There we go. Okay. All right. So then when we run it through, remember it cuts out the center part and then it cuts the frame into that. And got my little Cricut poker. I should just get my pick tool, but I had the Cricut poker out because it was right there handy. And then we're going to peel it out. Now this is a great time to use well, I'm going to say no, it's not a great time. But you could use the sticky sheets that are double-sided adhesive sheets, but you're going to waste a lot because you're going to have to put it on here too, unless you're good enough to just put a strip around the I guess you could lay it down and draw a circle and around the outside of the inside so that you know where you need to put this double sticky tape, and then you'd be rocking and rolling from there. Because this guy gets a little bit small to work with, but anyway. Then I have this tree piece from, you guys remember this paper from last year? Oh, that's kind of close, Jill. Called Reindeer Days. And it had a bunch of, we had a set with the reindeer in it. So that's what I chose to use. I got some cute patterns in there. But now we need to cut out just the solid, which is this piece. We need to cut this piece out of here. So I'm going to get my machine back in here. And now I'm going to tell you, because I ran into it yesterday. once I run this through and cut it out, my brain's not computing correctly, but because see, I cut it in half to put half on each side. If you had a pattern that you wanted like to flow and you cut this in half, it wouldn't flow because that's not how this piece is actually going to go on the right side and this piece is actually going to go on the left side. So you'd want to kind of keep an eye on that somehow if you could. I don't know. Again, my brain's not computing, but I don't know if you cut it. So if we cut it from the back side, no, I don't know. See, I'm not gonna spend time trying to figure it out, but you just want to be careful if you're using a directional paper. And if you know what I'm trying to say, then maybe you could put in the comments of how you'd cut this out so that you would make sure, or if you could even cut it out, to cut it in half somehow to make sure. Otherwise, you might have to make two different runs. So we wanted, maybe you'd want to run it through with it over here, then come back with the rest of the paper and run this side through. So that would be an idea. So note to self there, that's what you might want to do. All right, so that's the other piece to the Impressions Abloom. That's the 2 dies that I used out of that flower die set here. This Impressions Abloom. I've really gotten my money's worth out of this one. You know that. I seem to use that a lot. Now we are done with our embossing machine. All right. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to put glue on the edge here and see if that's going to help me out better. It's such a tight fit. If you put it on the oval, the big oval itself here, it doesn't look like it really matters. I got a lot of extra glue no matter where I put it. Let me just make sure we're in the confines here of the oval. That doesn't look too bad. We're going to leave it right there. Looks like we might be on it all the way around. Or not. Okay, now we're good. I'm going to call that good. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And so we need to cut it at about 2 1/8. Because I just kind of eyeballed it from here to here was about 4 1/4. So that gives me about 2 1/8, which is about, in my eyeballing, about right there. And then we're gonna slice it up. Now these two will glue on over here, like so. Oh, that one's bigger. And then I'm just gonna add a, whoops, let me put a little bit on that guy and get him to stick down. All right, then I'm going to use my mats here. I think I want to go about there. And glue that right to the edge. And do the same thing on the other side. We'll go up about there to there. I think that looks kind of even across there. This one looks maybe it's an optical illusion. It's looking a little bit bigger. This guy looks crooked now, but I can't worry about it. Looks good. Looks good. All right. So now we got that done. Now this piece, I need to bring my machine back in. I totally forgot about this guy. We need to make the pine tree. And so that's from the decorative pines set. And we're just going to lay that right in the center there. Oh, I could have stamped it first, probably. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other on this guy. And I better not put it away because it looks like I still got to cut out the fat bear there. Let me get my pine tree set. So we're going to use this stamp here. Oh, I need a big block. I'll have to use this one. I got my blocks all discombobbled from class. I don't think I grabbed any from over here for class on Monday. But we had pretty much every block we could find in use. Small ones, because we used the Impressions Abloom stamp set, and there's it's 2-step with a lot of different flowers, and they all had to have a couple blocks, each of those flowers. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this, line it up. Like so. Now you can, let me look and see in this set. There might be a tree trunk in here. Let me see. No. Down here. So if you stamped it with this guy, there's a tree trunk. So you could color that in if you needed something to finish that off for your own peace of mind. I'm gonna glue this flat onto my card, and then I just popped up the bear. Sorry guys, you're asking me questions and I'm not looking at my screen. But you guys are helping me out, so cool. Thank you for doing that. Yes, Tony, that was my other thought. If I just cut one piece, that would help your design flow. And I hope you had a good birthday. Tony just had a birthday. Looks like she had some fun celebration with her family. All right, so now we're going to bring in an extra piece of white. And I thought about trying to use this cute little moose, but then I saw he was on ice skates. So I didn't know if then my brain would tell me I needed to kind of like color something down here to make it look like ice. So I went with Fat Bear. But he's a cutie, so Fat Bear was a good choice. I'm going to shut my green up because we're done with that. Let me get a block. Oh, I have a sneeze coming on. And we need some black. Excuse me. Our little bear going here. You know, he probably, if you're a good colorer, you probably know how you can color him so that he looks like a white bear, but I don't do white so hot. So my bear is going to be light crumb cake. So let's see. I'm going to color him in first. I got light real red for his little Christmas bow here. And I don't know, I wonder if I use the other side, if it would be. I'll try the other side in a second to go back and try and fill in the, let's see, sometimes my other end is very alcohol-y. Oh, and does more harm than good for my blending. All right, we're going to call that good. The light, if you use the light a little bit extra, it'll darken it up. So if you go over it a couple times, if you don't happen to have the dark one, then I have my crushed curry Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just going to make some of these little dots filled in, and then I even made a couple of my own little dots on there. We colored them in. With crushed curry. And I didn't have, I've got granny apple green for the big dots. I didn't want to get too crazy on colors. I wanted to kind of stick with what was in the paper. So I am now going over some of the dark areas because I don't have a garden green. We don't have a garden green Stampin' Right marker. Or not Stampin' Right marker. Garden green, where's my old olive go? Alcohol marker. So I have to use old olive, but I didn't bring it. Hold on. I left it on my desk. All right, so I'm gonna use my old olive as my green. I don't know why we don't have a garden green, or I maybe just didn't look hard enough on my shelf. So I'm just gonna color him in real easy now. My head in the way. Sorry if my head's in the way. Okay, concentrating. Try not to color over anything that I've already colored. We gotta get up here around his neck. Okay, so there's our wreath. And then like I said, I've got my light crumb cake, and I'm just going to go over all these like hairs that would be darker spots. His toes, kind of his little underbelly there. Wherever the shadow would be coming on him, I'm going to color once, and then as I go over it, it should darken up. And then I can go over it again real quick when we're done. And then I tried not to go over his eyes and stuff. I don't know why. I just didn't want it to bleed or do any extra darkening on there. All right. Now let's get his little body. I have a little, trying to flick it a little bit, except for I've got the death grip on this marker. Let's see if I just color now my big spaces, because you'll see it will leave, you know, a little bit lighter. I find the more that I like color with the marker, the I don't want to say it runs it dry, but you get a better variation of the color. So now I'm gonna, probably you should give it a little bit longer to dry and soak in, but I'm just gonna go back over the areas that I want a little more darkness to, where these little hair lines are. There. That looks pretty good. We'll stop there. We'll stop there. And then I got to cut him out. So let's get this guy back in here. Lay him on there. Here's our die. See how I can lay it on there. That doesn't look too bad. Put our top on, press it and hold it. There's our bear now. I'm missing a plate. Didn't go far, but huh. All right. So now I took some dimensionals and I popped him up. Oh, there it is. Let's see what I got over here for dimensionals. Oh, there's some. And I'm just going to put a couple on him. This one would be sort of an easy one for mass producing. If you like to color, you can definitely color, like while you're watching TV, you could color the bears. If you like to fussy cut, you could even fussy cut the bear out while you're watching TV or something, and then kind of assemble them later. So I'm gonna, while I remember, I'm gonna take my cool marker. It's more of a gray, and do under my tree. You can see on this one, maybe I use the warm, and it shows up too much for my liking. So this time I use the cool, just to give it a vision of having something there. And then I got my warm And I'm going to come over here under his body with the warm, which is a brown, and I don't know if you could, whoops, I got to get in there. If you could see that line now, it's there. It's not as much a shadow that you're seeing from the camera and the lighting as it is the line that I put on him to ground him. All right, so let's glue him onto the front. Let's see, we need a keyword. How about fat bear? We'll use fat bear for our keyword for this. And I think I have a couple. I made up a couple of these extra. So we'll have a couple winners next Wednesday with our fat bear Christmas card. I was going to show you guys like a twofer because tonight's our normal Wednesday, and I was going to make this with another stamp set that where I actually saw like this layout. I want to say it was her name. It was Creative Chris, and she used the. Okay, Christy, what is the stamp set that we were admiring that you were talking about? The envelope, making the envelope. It has a bunch of dies with it that says lovely, might be lovely garden, lovely something. She used that paper, and then I was going to use lovely with a bunch of greenery behind it right here. So this right here can be any paper, and then just fill it in with whatever you want. But I didn't want to take that much time from you guys tonight to make another one. Maybe next week I'll make a couple cards, couple, random stepped up, maybe like 1, 2, 3 versions next week. I haven't done that in a while. So then I'm grabbing words from Have a Very Merry Christmas. I think that'll fit good on there. And I just used black. And then I'll show you what I did. Okay, so we got Have a Very Merry Christmas. Get out our trimmer. I just want to trim that. I'm going to trim a little smidge off the bottom. Then I'm going to flip it around. Doesn't look like I cut that straight. I'm going to flip it around, and we're going to cut the top. So let me see if I got my, yeah, I'm too wide. Darn it all. All right, let me do it a different way. I'll show you. So I'm going to take this punch. I don't know if you could see let me see if I wrote on the bottom of it. I don't know what it's called. It does this one. Ticket. It's not a ticket, but it's there we go. That's the punch. So let me put this in here. This way I'll make sure to get it the right width. Okay, so go ahead and you just punch one out. Much easier way to make sure it's the right width. Then we'll get our Merry Christmas out. Line that up. Let's see how far we got. Oh, yeah, we're crooked. We'll give it another shot. 2 sides to every piece of paper, unless you've already put adhesive on it. Stamp that. Oh, now I go the other way, but that works. So now we're going to take it and we're just going to feed it into the punch. I'm going to kind of just eyeball how much I've got on each end so that they match. Punch it, and now I've got a different length than what the punch calls for, because you can feed it through either side to lengthen it, shorten it, if you wanted it longer than what the punch did. Then I took this I'm not so sure about. You guys might not like this. I don't even know if I like this, but this is what I did. So I took my red blender pen and then I just went all along the edges to give it some color. And probably not my Stampin' Up paper, so it's soaking in really fast and furious here. But that's what I did to give that a little color. Just another option so that you don't have to layer it on. See if I can even that up. That's gonna, right there. There we go. So that it's another option for layering, so you don't have to layer on another piece of paper. But you can, because this one would line up all right. You could have the red hanging out on the ends. Then I'm just going to pop it up. I'm just going to put one thingy on it. And we'll stick it up here. I was going to put it down there, but it was too busy. So I'm just going to stick it up at the top. And that's our card for this 25th of June, you guys. 25th of June. Holy shnikes. Almost over already. So that's our card for this month. The keyword, we're using Fat Bear. And that's it. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll be back next week for sure. Might be a hot mess, but I'll be back for sure. And kicking off July. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, commenting, sharing, being here with me for support. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you next week. Bye. Maybe. Hold on. Not quite. Bye.